and Johan Lang have been speaking about in the latest update coming out of Hotspur Way?
Saturday. So yeah, it's been good to have them out there. That's the fun bit. That's where we try to affect things. So yeah, good effort, good mentality. Yeah, happy.
Fantastic. And Johan, let's get into a little bit about the coaching staff, because this is really
Everyone's
exciting.
happy in
We
their
know who our
first week.
coaches are going to be for the season. We know about the whole team. But I wonder if you could tell us about the process.
Yeah, of course. In the interview process we have for Thomas, we spend quite a lot of time talking about which kind of staff should we try to assemble around Thomas. Firstly, we mapped out which kind of competences did we thought was important to have the best possible staff before we start to put any names to it. Thomas had a wish to bring in a few coaches that he has worked with before. But for all the other roles, we've had a very, very good process where we've interviewed several candidates for each one of the roles, and standing here today with a very, very good feeling and quite excited about the staff we have put together.
Yeah, it's a real...
That's quite interesting.
Yes, I mean, go on. What's interesting?
Well, the interesting, I guess the interesting part is he's saying for a lot of the candidates, for the coaches, they had a big vetting process, a lot of candidates, but they landed on all the ones he's worked with before.
Yeah. But, like, whenever Spurs do this, like, under new managers and new players come in and they explain everything, it's like, there's always, like, this amazing big grand master plan. And then it all gets ripped up.
Yeah, I mean, of
within
course.
a year, 18 months. So, I mean, I kind of find it so hard to believe when I'm listening to Johan Lang or Paratici or this one or that one, Kamoli, Arnes, you know, all of them over the years, Daniel Levy as well. Quite a bit going. I find it so hard to believe that actually they've put so much thought and practice into this, and this is their grand master plan all coming together. But it's all coming together once again, over and over again, and nothing seems to work.
Yeah. But what's also, 100%. What's also good, though, I guess, compared to before, is just we're going to have more specialists. Obviously, there was a lot of complaints, especially from the fan base, about a lack of set piece coach, specialised, and all these different things. Frank's going to go through who specialising in what, which is interesting to hear. But that's something we're definitely missing last year. We had a lot of coaches. The team was coached prior, what's called not like what other people say, but we didn't clearly have, I think, specialists in every area, which I think maybe when you're looking at the Premier League right now, that's what a lot of teams have, and I think that's probably a good thing that we got that.
Yeah, what kind of outfit were they running? How can you not have specialists in every area in this day and age?
Yeah, I agree. I think you need specialists.
But anyway, let's go on.
Really, really exciting group. Just tell us a little bit about them, Thomas, and the roles
so now,
that they'll do
Frank's
individually,
gonna
and
go
as well
through
as what they'll provide to the team more
I think
generally.
who's going to be specialist in what.
The three assistant coaches, Justin Cochran, who come from Brentford and worked with me before. You'll be charge of the offensive part of the game, and then some training planning and get that smooth and running. Then we got an Andreas Georgsen from Man United, but also worked with him previously in Brentford. That will be assistant coach, but main focus on set pieces, of diff restarts and some culture of it. And then we will have Matt Wells, who will be responsible for the defensive part of the game and also contributing to training. And I think that the way they split the roles, I think is really good and covering all the abilities.
So Matt Wells in charge of defensive.
Defensive, yeah.
What do we think about that? Because he was obviously part of the coaching staff last year, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I guess in the Europa League, we defended quite well. But definitely at times in Premier League.
I don't know what Matt Wells was in charge of last year. Just because
he's specifically now chose to want to work on the defence side of the game. So I'm assuming that's something he's very strong at. I assume last season... Look, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he was in charge of. Obviously, he was assistant manager to Ange, but I doubt his defensive recommendations would have been ignored.
It's not about them. It's not that about them being ignored. He's trying to work under and into the parameters that Ange Postecoglou sets, and he obviously sets a very high pressing team. And whatever team Ange has managed, they've always conceded a lot of goals. Whereas Thomas Frank, I know Brentford also conceded a lot of goals, but that just goes for who Brentford are, but they have an actual proper defensive structure where it looked like that, Spurs didn't really coach too much into defending. So
I think they, when you saw, they definitely were doing that in Europa League.
Yeah, fine in the Europa League, but what about everything else?
Yeah, I think, and sometimes in Premier League, but yeah, that's my point. We couldn't get it right in the Premier League, but in the Europa League, we had some sort of structure.
Yeah, but it all comes down from the manager, right? You can't just all put it down on Matt Wells and the defensive coach within the squad. Like, it all stems down from the manager, and it's all a collaborative effort. Right?
Exactly.
And
that's my point.
And I think that Frank will set better parameters for defensive work than Ange Postecoglou would have.
Cochrane, obviously, he's in charge of attacking.
Yeah.
And I think that's positive because he clearly had different ways of attacking at Brentford, and they were very smart with how they were basically attacking teams, whether it be on the counter attack, whether it be from whipping crosses in early. And I think having a bit more variation in that is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah, so, and I think when you're looking at both those coaches, Cochrane and Matt Wells, both, highly respected coaches within the game, both seemingly with, big futures ahead of them. Matt Wells is expected to be one of the next managers like Ryan Mason that could go on to actually being a first team coach, and Cochrane as well, who was in the running for the Brentford job before, just after Frank joined us. So 2 very respected coaches, 2 coaches that have a big future in the game. And I'm very delighted. I'm excited to see what both of them can do next year.
Wait, so when he said the 3 assistants, those are 3 assistants? Or was he talking about the 3 other guys? Who are the assistants?
So Cochrane's an assistant, and Wells is an assistant, and there's one more.
So Wells has actually kept his place as an assistant manager?
I had it written down somewhere, actually, but I can't remember where it is. It might not be Wells, actually. I'm pretty sure it is.
Because they signed 2 other guys from Brentford, didn't they?
Yeah.
But no, I'm not talking about the ones like yesterday. I'm talking about when they first joined.
So Andreas Jorgensen's assistant. Matt Wells won't be an assistant.
But you said 3 assistants.
Yeah, I had 3 assistants written down. Right, here we go. So first team assistant coach Chris Howsam, first team assistant coach Andreas Jorgensen, first team assistant coach Matt Wells.
Oh, so it is Matt Wells.
And Justin Cochrane.
That's 4.
That's 4, yeah. That's what it says here.
But he said 3. Okay. I'm trying to, that's just confusing.
What to tell you. It said this is when Spurs first put out the news about the backroom staff and about the coaching staff. That's the roles that they put them in.
Interesting. And so Jorgensen, he's talking about set pieces. Yeah. So he's coming as set piece coach, but this is a guy who was working at Man United last season. They didn't have a good set piece record last season. So let's hope that can improve.
Yeah,
for us.
We would like to have. Then we have added
okay, now he's going into it.
Cameron Campbell, that is the individual coach, and big on how we develop the players. And that was a big wish from both Johan and I. It was something we talked about that we thought was crucial, and I think not many clubs have actually nailed that. We tried in the past, so hopefully we can take it to the next level. And then we got Fabian Otte in as a goalkeeper coach. Really excited about him coming in, great experience in terms of working with some of the best goalkeepers in the world, and hopefully can help push the goalkeepers. And then finally, Chris Haslam, which is the head of performance, first team coach, which is of course the physical part of the football training, all that, but also the link to everything. So I think we got a very exciting group together.
Yeah, Johan, just tell us a little bit about the other roles that we have within that coaching setup.
Yeah,
as well.
so who's Fabian Otte? He's worked with like Alisson before. I'm trying to think because he was at Burnley and he was at Gladbach as well before that. Nick Pope. So what was Gladbach? Was that Jan Sommer he might have been? Maybe it was Jan Sommer at the time. Interesting, he talks about someone who's head of player individual development. He said not many clubs have nailed that. Is that so? What and so someone working individually and developing. I wonder so is that literally nurturing a player to get the best out of them? Is that what he's talking about, or is it individual like fitness regimes.
I think it's going to be a bit of everything, to be honest.
Bit of everything. And he said not many clubs have nailed it. So
yeah,
you think
I'm not sure what he means.
Yeah,
by that.
was he thinking not many clubs are good at developing players? Maybe, especially our one. Maybe is that what he's referring to?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's saying like clubs are fine at developing players, but maybe as like in a team, but like individually, players and clubs don't really work on players individually. I don't know.
I also think a lot of the emphasis at the moment. I think he's right. I feel like in the Premier League, a lot of emphasis is obviously on signing players and recruitment, and I think a lot of the emphasis is in just signing them and just having them, scouting them and just having them kind of do what you signed them for, what they've done before, and sometimes it gets lost in how players are moldable. They can change. You can develop them. You can get more out of them. You can even profile them in different ways. And maybe that's kind of how what he's referring to. Like some Premier League clubs are maybe losing out. Like they think, oh, we're signing this player as a centre mid and he's going to be a centre mid. Like a bit like it's a kind of different scenario. But like Newcastle signed Joel Linton as like a striker and he became a central midfielder. Not are enough clubs doing that kind of thing?
Yeah,
you know what
so
I mean?
we're going to sign Kota Takai and make him into a left winger.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. maybe Van der Ven's going to be a striker now, running in behind. I'm just saying, but maybe that's the kind of stuff he's like, because we definitely haven't done enough of that kind of thing. Maybe profiling players in a different way, thinking outside the box and how to use them. And I think within the Premier League, I think there's a lot of stuff missing from that. I think Brighton are quite good at doing it. I think Brentford were quite good at doing it, using Lewis Potter Keane as a left back and stuff like that. I feel like for us, Tottenham, I think maybe there was a lack of that. I think, for a long time there's been a lack of that. Maybe outside the box thinking.
There's been a couple of them, obviously. Bale started off as a left back and ended up as a left winger, central, more central as well. Didn't Moussa Sissoko, wasn't he playing more as like a winger or something before he joined us sometimes?
He came as a player who could play centre mid, but was playing off the right a lot for Newcastle as well.
He came in as more as
wouldn't say it was ever a winger, but
a wide player.
Yeah, a wide player.
But like he came in more as like a driving force through the middle. So,
but you're talking a long time ago. You're talking like 10 years ago. I'm saying for in the since. Yeah, I think actually Poch was very good at doing it because he used to play Eriksson, different positions, Dele, next to the striker. I think Poch was a good example of how to do that. I think ever since Poch, I feel like we've been very...
Sonny left wing back.
I think we've been boxing in players, you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's this, so he's always going to play there, you know what I mean? I can't think of too many times we've found different kind of positions for players.
Just look to the Europa League final, what we did with Pape Sarr.
Pape Sarr, I mean, Ange can do it. But I think in general, I think maybe that's, developing players a different way, seeing how you can best use them. I think that's a good thing.
Well, just bridge the gap, I guess, between the academy and the first team. Yeah,
as Thomas referenced, I think it's important for us to have specialists. We are very fortunate as a club that we are able to attract some of the best specialist coaches in the world. And as you say, we also made a couple of internal promotions. Stuart Lewis will come into a new role as a transition coach between the first team and the academy. And as Thomas said before, around
Stuart Lewis' role is very, very important. It's something that's been lost at this football club for so long in terms of creating that pathway from the academy to the first team. We've seen a few players get minutes here and there, but there's never been a clear pathway where you can see proper progression. And now we've got such good talent in the academy. It's so important to have someone overseeing that.
Yeah, agreed. And now's this is potentially, a golden generation for us. So we need to make most use of it. We can't let this generation pass us by without getting some players into that first team and getting use out of them. And I think there's going to be a big emphasis on that. And I think when you think about it, that's exactly what Levy would want. Making your own talent, bringing them through, saves you a lot of money. Yeah. When you don't have to sign players. Also, you bring in players who have an affinity to the club. You bring in players who, a lot of them are fans or they've got a connection, so they're less likely to leave. They're more likely to be loyal. There's so many pluses bring through your own players.
Exactly. They're basically, you're looking at that second half against Elfsborg. when all that academy players came on, like that night and that second half was
Cameron
one of,
coming in.
apart from obviously the big games like the Europa League final and that run towards the end, that was like our best moment of the season.
Yeah.
Just because of the academy players and how well they shone on that night.
Exactly, yeah. The
Look
fans
how proud we were
take
that
them,
night.
yeah. The fans.
And it was a game against Elfsborg.
Agreed, and that's another reason, you know, that it gives them some fans want to
connection with
relate
the
to,
fans.
connect to 100%. So I think that is important, and let's hope this specialist can really help with that.
As the individual coach, we want players of all ages to have that development mindset, but of course to strengthen even more the bond between the first team and the academy is something that we have worked hard on it for a number of years. And with this new hire of Stuart coming into this new role, we believe that it will be even stronger in the years to come, because we have some very, very exciting young players that will come through, push in the upcoming years, and they need, you know, maybe a little bit special attention as well to bridge that big gap that it is to go from academy football to the Premier League. And we have Dean Brill coming into a new role as assistant goalkeeper coach. He was head of academy goalkeeper coaching. Again, it shows that, you know, we want to show both players, but also staff. It can not only coaches, it can also be, you know, in the medical, performance analysis, scouting, in all the departments. That, you know, if you are coming into our academy, getting the DNA under the skin, you know, that we can have good, exciting pathways for coaches, specialists in this football club.
Thomas,
That's quite interesting. So,
We aren't just generating players, we're generating coaches as well.
no, that's good. But what's interesting is they've promoted the academy goalkeeping coach to our assistant goalkeeping coach. So that's quite good, because he's actually done quite a good job when you think about a lot of the keepers, the young keepers we have come through. And even
Totally
someone
agree.
like, you know, Austin. I mean, I don't know if he was there when Austin was in the academy, but, you know, Gunter doing very well.
Gunter Keeley, yeah.
Keeley. So he's clearly done a great job, and they're performing very well at the moment in various levels. So I think that's a real positive. So congratulations to him. I wonder what other coaches are going to start getting promoted. But that's really interesting and positive.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the way that you line up your coaching staff. So you broke it down there into the different areas of the field. Is this usually the way that you go about building a coaching staff?
Yeah, it is. I believe it's very important to have combination between clear role description for the coaches, so they know what they are in charge of. So it's not like, okay, today what are we doing today? So no, they know the roles, they know what they need to execute, they know what they need to be on top of. But also, you know, they need to be able to overlap each other and help and make sure that the most important thing is the training out there is world class. So we need to be with quality and intensity and focus. So that's the main bit. So I think clarity is important for everyone.
And which coaches you'll bring in,
Look at that
how
high five
potentially
with
you'll go about
Vucevic. I
things, but
love it.
also what you'll do on the analysis front. So tell us a little bit about that in terms of the way that you'll be preparing for games and the way that you'll be preparing for pre-season.
Yeah, so in the analysis front, we also got Joe Newton in, that came from Brentford as well. So he will be like a coach analyst. So he will be the bridge between the analyst team and the coaching staff.
He's
so
going to
we
be
make
a
sure
coach
that
analyst.
everything is
So
aligned
analysing
in
coaches.
terms of training,
Wow.
matches, debrief, post, pre and post match, and how we prepare for the opponent. But just as much and how we debrief the game, because it's the way we play, our principles, that is the most important thing. But with the twist we use, or how we tweak it to the opponent.
Is there anything that you look out for in terms of the types of person that you want in your team?
It needs to be people that understand that we are a unit and we need to work hard together. And yes, I know half of the coaching group. The other half I don't know. But so we need to work on that relationship. That's an ongoing process. So hopefully, when we know each other well, we know how we work together, how we are aligned, and then we get up to a very well-run engine that just deliver every day.
We're now starting to go into that bit which, I mean, I used to think of pre-season, when I heard players talking about pre-season, as the thing they hated the most in the world, right? Because it just meant running. But things have changed a lot. Preparation is slightly different now in the modern day. What does preparation look like as we look ahead to the next few weeks?
I don't know if I'm a modern coach or not, you know, sometimes, but we started running today.
Set them up in the old school.
So I think old
Do you
school
think
is...
they're going to do any more of those suicide runs.
Oh, the Conte
Conte
pre-season.
getting Son and Kane to vomit their guts out. I don't think it's going to be that bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but keep going.
Still good school, so I think that's still important to have a bit of that. Now we had a running test today, and we'll have that again when the international is back, and probably also a little bit later down the season. But in general, it was a short test, basically a 1K test. So, and if they did it well enough, they're below 3 minutes and 15. So that sounds easy, huh? Yeah, with turns, by the way. So I think, oh, that's done, and then it's football. Everything with the ball, everything is on that, and then we will top up with some runs, because I believe there's a big bit in that mental part of pushing. Yeah.
And you've got a little bit of time now before your first game. So our first pre-season game will be against Reading, and I guess the players gradually start to filter back in. How excited are you to get to that point where you've got the full group?
That's what I want. So I want everyone in, really compare them against each other, see, how's the mix, how's the relationship. Of course, I know the group in terms from looking from the outside, but it's different when you're on the inside and you work with them, you feel them, you understand them better. And we all have our own views on certain players or relationship, and it's up to me to find that perfect combination that make the team perform on the highest possible level.
Well, gents, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, I think it's all obviously really positive, and I think it's all very, very exciting to see the coaching team that they're putting behind, and you're looking at Thomas Frank and the way he's going to manage it all. And I'm just excited to see it all come together, to be honest.
Yeah, I think key takeaways from that is just having specialists in different areas. I think also finding maybe out-of-the-box solutions in terms of relationships with players and different kind of positions. I think that's going to be very interesting to see. It was interesting to hear him talking about how tweaking, different things to suit different oppositions, and obviously that's what he was known for at Brentford. So that's going to be quite interesting. So encouraging stuff.